This review has been made possible by Chevrolet of Naperville. As you know, Chevy has tons of brand new cars and trucks available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to ChevroletofNaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2021 Chevy Trailblazer LT. Up front is a 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, and down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, before we get back to that drivetrain I just mentioned, this is the Trailblazer. This is all new for 2021. And if you'll notice, last year they actually revealed the new Chevy Blazer. Blazer and Trailblazer, they actually have nothing in common. They don't share a chassis, they don't share engines, they don't share interiors. They really just share part of their name, and that's about it. The biggest difference is that engine. So let's get back to it. It's a 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. I have to say this is the largest vehicle I've ever driven that has a 3-cylinder engine. Now there is another engine offered in the Trailblazer, and that is a 1.2 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. So the 1.3 gets slightly better horsepower. I'll put that up on the screen, as well as in some funky color, whatever I decide post-editing. I'll put the horsepower and torque numbers for the 1.2. And now that you've seen that, if you would like to see the gas mileage for the 1.3 liter 3-cylinder, here it is. I have to say that I was pretty shocked to find out that this only has a 3-cylinder, and that's the only option. It's a 1.2 or 1.3, but still, there are only 3-cylinder turbos offered in the new Trailblazer. And at the end of the video, I'll kind of mention why I think this car should have been renamed. But there is no 4-cylinder option, 6-cylinder option, or 8-cylinder option. It is just the little 3-cylinder. And so we're warmed up here on the test track, and we'll see what this little thing can do. I don't even know if it's worth opening the window, but speaking of which, as we pull up to the start line here, look at how angular this window is. It's very different for a modern car. You don't really see that. So sport mode on, we'll leave it in D. 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. Nothing. This is pretty gutless because it's so low displacement and it doesn't have the benefit of revving out. And so around town, you could put your foot into it and you're really not going to go places, which, if you are a parent looking for a vehicle for your child, look no further than the Trailblazer, because if they get a speeding ticket in this thing, you're going to have to sit down with your kid and have a very long life talk, because they were doing something wild. Like I said, paired to it is a 9-speed automatic transmission. This is just the way that these vehicles are going. The more speeds, the better fuel economy, theoretically, you can get. And honestly, I haven't had too much trouble with it. If I were going to use this vehicle for towing or for something super aggressive and heavy on a transmission, I would be a little iffy about the 9-speed, but getting around town, driving a car normally, not trying to tug a boat out of Lake Shelbyville in this thing, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Last but not least, and one of my favorite parts of this car is the fact that this is all-wheel drive. Although there is a front-wheel drive version offered, this is all-wheel drive. And you guys know my stance at this point. If I'm going to buy an SUV or really any new car that has all-wheel drive offered, I'm going to get the all-wheel drive. It's just smarter. And right now, it's almost summertime here in Chicago, but this is what we deal with for most of the year, and I'd rather have all-wheel drive than two-wheel drive. That's just me. So let's get into the interior. We have a lot to talk about, and Chevy has made one big change you won't want to miss. They added a start-stop-off button. So let's talk about the gauges. Well, in front of me, I have two main gauges. On the left is my tachometer with fuel at the bottom, and on the right is my speedometer with coolant temperature at the bottom. In the center, I do get a screen. We can look at vehicles, so we can look at oil life remaining, air filter, tire pressure, following distance, units, and we're back to oil life. We can go over to eco, see my best fuel economy, top consumers, economy trend, eco index, a lot of different fuel economy screens in here, which I really like. The more information I can have in a car, the better, in my own personal opinion. And then we could do trip, we could do speed and digits, trip 1, trip 2, fuel range, instantaneous fuel economy, average vehicle speed, and then we're back to speed and digits. As well as at the bottom, I do have a little logo distinguishing if I'm in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, which is interesting because from my experience, I was told that all-wheel drive is all the time, but 4-wheel drive is selectable. So this is actually selectable. So technically, I guess it's 4-wheel drive. I'm not sure. We'll get to that later. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my cruise control options and pre-collision warning. And on the right, I have my phone options and my scroll wheel for that center screen and the gauges that we just talked about. To the left of me, I have my dimmer switches, headlights, and fog lights. And on the door, I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Only the driver's window is 1 touch down, 1 touch back up, but that is perfectly okay with me. Now let's get into the center. We have 2 air conditioning and heating vents, very nice, but we have the big touchscreen display. So I'll actually go home here. We could talk about some stuff. We have audio, phone, Wi-Fi. You can actually get Wi-Fi through Chevy. You could pay a monthly fee and actually have onboard Wi-Fi. I can do my climate controls through the center screen. I really like that. Makes everything nice and easy. I have OnStar, of course, but the biggest draw for me is Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. This is a game changer because Apple CarPlay, at least in my experience, because I use Apple products, Apple CarPlay is just the best radio system you can have in a vehicle. If the vehicle has Apple CarPlay, it's going to act like every other vehicle that has Apple CarPlay, and I absolutely love that. I drive 5 to 6 cars a week sometimes, and getting into every car, trying to figure out every different infotainment system is so annoying. Apple CarPlay makes it super easy. I plugged in my phone, all my music, all my contacts, all my text messages, and phone calls were right there instantaneously. And I absolutely love that. This comes with Apple CarPlay, and that's just the best thing in the world. Down below, we do have our climate control options, on, off, heated seats. We do, of course, have our defrosters, recirculating, very basic, but it has a very modern layout. I like the buttons, especially on the recirculating knob on the right. I think it looks very clean, very sleek, and I absolutely love that. Down below, we do have 2 USB inputs, which is a standard USB in the middle, but we actually have a USB-C on the left. Of course, an aux and a 12-volt outlet if you're still using those things. Below that little cubby hole, there is an optional wireless charger that would go into this cubby hole. This is the LT and doesn't have that option, but that is something you can get if you'd like to spec up the Trailblazer. However, we do have 5 buttons right before the shifter that I'd like to talk about that are very, very important. And the first is the automatic start, stop, off button. Chevy, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Modern Chevys before this did not have an automatic start, stop, off button. So no matter what, whenever you pulled up to a stoplight, the car would shut off. There was no way to toggle this on and off. If it annoyed you, you just had to live with it. Now I have a button, I can click it once and the car won't shut off at stoplights. Thank you. Every other auto manufacturer has always done this, but not Chevy until now. They're finally getting with the program. I cannot tell you how excited this makes me that this is going to trickle over to other models, because you should be able to do that. You should be able to turn off that feature because it's the most annoying feature in any modern car, by far. Rant over. The other buttons are lane keep assist on and off, traction control on and off, my sport mode, which is designated by a little flag, and then my all-wheel drive button, which, like I mentioned earlier, you can actually toggle all-wheel drive on and off. So right now, I'm just cruising around in 2-wheel drive, but I can turn on the all-wheel drive when I need it. Now, if you do get the front-wheel drive version of this, there will be a little snowflake button in place of the all-wheel drive button. That is for all-weather. It'll sort of up the traction control on front-wheel drive models. But of course, this is the all-wheel drive, so we don't have to worry about that. Now, the sport mode actually is kind of interesting. I really thought that it was just going to be a transmission setting. However, according to the handbook found in the glove box of this vehicle. It says, and I quote, "Use sport mode where road conditions or personal preference demand a more controlled response. Sport mode improves vehicle handling and acceleration on dry pavement. When active, sport mode," this is the good part, "modifies steering efforts, transmission shifting, and suspension tuning if equipped." So the sport mode will actually change a couple of things as opposed to just being a little bit more aggressive with shifting. Most vehicles like this that aren't really sporty but have a sport mode, but like we saw, the 1.3 turbo isn't really going to give you any crazy quarter-mile times at Great Lakes Dragway. So then we have the shifter itself. It feels like every other Chevy shifter. I mean, this is really a parts bin part, but I do like the fact that it has a tiny little Chevy emblem on the back of it. I don't know why. I just felt like that was a nice little touch. It didn't really need to add, but at least, you know, it's something. Someone somewhere gave this shifter 45 minutes of their time to put a little logo on it. I like that. Down below that, we do have a power parking brake. Because this is an automatic, I don't mind. And that pretty much finishes out the center console besides the cup holders. Now, the seats are decently comfortable. Like I said, they are heated. They are power as well. They're not memory, but they are power, which I really, really like. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So we'll talk about the back seats and talk about the rear hatch. All right, so we're in the back of the 2021 Chevy Trailblazer LT. The first thing I noticed is how hard the seats are. Now, before I made this video, I was actually pretty worried because I've had an Amazon Prime package coming for the last like 3 weeks, and I don't know where it is. Well, luckily for me, I know where my package is. It's inside these seats because they feel like they're made out of cardboard and spray paint cans. They are very, very hard and not that comfortable. However, they are functional and it has back seats, and my leg room is great. I mean, my knees don't really even have a prayer of hitting the front seat. Now, what is nice is down here, I have an actual wall outlet, an American Standard wall outlet, USB and USB-C, all right down there. That is absolutely awesome. No more people saying, "Oh, can you plug in my charger?" No, you can plug it in yourself. Or you can plug in a toaster. I guess if you want, you could, or a curling iron or a blow dryer. You can plug in anything back here, which is really, really nice. Besides that, I don't really get any amenities. We do have a light. I mean, if you count that as an amenity, it is what it is. There's no real good spot for me to mount the camera. That's why I'm holding it. I apologize. But we will now go talk about the hatch, and I'll do a cool transition. All right, so we are around the back of the Trailblazer now. Unfortunately, on the key fob, we don't actually have any sort of rear hatch button. So I assume, yep, a little button down there, and it opens up nice and easy. It's a pretty light tailgate, but it is manual. You do have to pull it yourself. We do have floor mats. Of course, this is a new car. We have some tie downs up here, and that seems to be it. However, it is a good amount of space, and these seats, of course, do fold down, so you can have a very large cargo area, actually. Just for the heck of it, we can pull this up. We do get a full spare, well, not a full spare tire, it's a donut, but we at least get a spare tire. A lot of new cars are opting just for fix-a-flat. This actually comes with a spare. You get a tool kit. This is for the tow hook jack. So that is the back end of the Chevy Trailblazer. Now we have to talk about the looks. I think the Trailblazer actually looks pretty good. I really like the look of it. I think it's small, and I think, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say the C word, I think it's cute. I really think it's a cute little SUV, and actually in here, it's not spacious. It's very spacious in here. I like it. The driving feels great. The size is great. If you are a college student like I was a month ago, or if you are looking to get your kid a new car, or something basic, you don't need that much room. If it's just you and your fiance, or you and a kid, and you don't need that much space, this is great because it still feels roomy. It doesn't feel like you're compromising. However, if you do have a full family, I probably would look elsewhere because you are going to stretch the limits of the cargo space. But if you already have a large family, I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you that. Now, let's get to the name. I really think Chevy should have named this something else, because the Trailblazer in the past, I've reviewed a Trailblazer before. It was a 2006 Trailblazer SS. You might be asking, Zach, did that also have a 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder? No, it was naturally aspirated. It was a V8 that was naturally aspirated, a 6-liter fire-breathing V8. It sounded nasty. It was disgustingly quick. It was aggressive. It was brutal. It was mean. I think I made a joke in the video saying that there was a dealer option, a baseball bat in the trunk for when you had to break someone's kneecaps. That was an aggressive, great, fire-breathing SUV. And this, well, it isn't. It's not. It's not fire-breathing. It doesn't even cough fire. It doesn't even cough out smoke. I mean, this is the furthest thing you can get from a fire-breathing SUV. And that's why I don't agree with the name, because the Trailblazer was always something that was so awesome. It was macho and big and aggressive, and some people want that and some people don't. That's fine. But just looking at the lineage, how'd it go from a 6-liter V8 to a 1.3-liter 3-cylinder turbo? I don't think this should have been named the Trailblazer. Now, I understand why they named it the Trailblazer. Right now, the most fierce fight in the automotive industry is for SUVs like this, mid-size, mid to small SUVs. That's the big segment. That's the big ticket item right now. So I understand that Chevy is pulling out all the stops to try to get sales. Trailblazer is a very recognizable name. It's been around for a while, and so they should be making a Trailblazer. I just don't think that this is it. Getting past that, it's a good little SUV. It's equipped very, very well, and this isn't even the top trim. This is the LT. Apple CarPlay, heated seats, lane keep assist, pre-collision warning, a sport mode, all-wheel drive, the automatic start-stop on and off. The list goes on and on, that this is a very quality, great little SUV. If you're a bit of a lead foot and demand power on the road, look elsewhere. The 1.3 liter does not do it, and I can't imagine that the 1.2 liter is any better. But I have to say, I really like this little thing, and I'm excited to see what Chevy does with it, because this is the very first one. This is the very first model year, and who knows where it might go. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Chevy of Naperville for letting me take out their brand new 2021 Chevy Trailblazer. I'm so glad I was finally able to get my hands on this thing. It's absolutely great, and I can't thank them enough. They have tons of Trailblazers on the lot right now, as well as a bunch of used cars. They actually have a Chevy SS on the lot, which was discontinued 3 years ago, which is really, really cool. They have a whole plethora of cars there, and I can't thank them enough for letting me review their Trailblazer. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.